What if I told you that the very thing destroying your peace is also the key to unlocking everything you've ever wanted? Right now, as you watch this, your mind is probably racing through a dozen different thoughts. Maybe you're worried about tomorrow's meeting, replaying yesterday's conversation, or calculating how much time you have left before your next obligation. But here's what nobody talks about. That mental chaos isn't just exhausting you, it's literally blocking you from experiencing the life that's already perfectly designed for you. I spent years trapped in this cycle. Every morning I'd wake up with this crushing weight of everything I needed to accomplish, everyone I needed to please, every problem I needed to solve. And the harder I fought against this mental noise, the louder it became. Until one day, something shifted completely. Not through adding more techniques or strategies to my life, but through discovering what was already there beneath all that mental static. The ancient masters understood something we've completely forgotten in our modern world. They knew that the source of all suffering isn't what happens to you, it's your relationship with your own mind. And more importantly, they discovered that you have access to something far more powerful than your thoughts. Something that doesn't need to be developed or earned or achieved. Something that's been with you this entire time. Think about this for a moment. When you were a child, before you learned to constantly analyze and worry and plan, you had natural access to this state. You could be completely absorbed in building something with blocks, watching clouds move across the sky, or listening to a story. You weren't thinking about being present. You just were present. What changed wasn't that you lost this ability. What changed is that you learned to cover it up with layers and layers of mental activity. The Western approach to fulfillment is built on acquisition. Get the degree, land the job, buy the house, find the relationship, accumulate the savings, achieve the recognition. Each goal promises that once you reach it, then you'll finally feel complete. But notice what happens when you actually get what you wanted. There's a brief moment of satisfaction, then the mind immediately starts scanning for what's next, what's missing, what could go wrong. This isn't wrong, it's just incomplete. It's like trying to fill a bucket that has no bottom. You can pour achievement after achievement into it, but the emptiness remains because you're addressing the symptom, not the source. The source of that restless searching isn't that you lack something. The source is that you've forgotten what you already have access to. Eastern wisdom approaches this from the opposite direction. Instead of adding more, it's about removing what's unnecessary. Instead of becoming something new, it's about uncovering what was always there. Your natural state isn't one of anxiety, worry, or incompleteness. Your natural state is presence, awareness, and a deep sense of being exactly where and who you need to be. But how do you access this when your mind feels like a hurricane of thoughts and concerns? The secret isn't to fight the thoughts or try to stop them. The secret is to recognize that you are not your thoughts. You are the awareness that observes thoughts. You are the space in which thoughts arise and pass away. And this awareness, this deeper part of you, is completely unaffected by whatever mental drama is playing out. Here's a simple way to experience this right now. Notice that you're watching this video. Notice that you're aware of these words, aware of whatever you're feeling, aware of your surroundings. Who or what is doing this noticing? It's not your thoughts. Thoughts are just objects appearing in your awareness. It's not your emotions. Emotions are experiences you're aware of having. There's something deeper, more fundamental, that's simply present and aware. That's what the masters are pointing to.
That is what is stronger than your mind. When you start operating from this deeper place, everything changes.
Not because your external circumstances necessarily change, but because your relationship to those circumstances transforms completely. Problems don't disappear, but they no longer have the power to disturb your fundamental peace. Challenges still arise, but you meet them from a place of clarity rather than reactivity. This is why traditional practices like those found in Shaolin monasteries aren't just about physical training or philosophical concepts. They're about creating a complete lifestyle that supports this deeper way of being.
When you eat, you eat. When you train, you train. When you sleep, you sleep.
No part of your attention is scattered across multiple time zones and activities.
Most of Stati Uniti live in a constant state of fragmentation.
We eat while thinking about work. We work while thinking about relationships. We try to sleep while replaying the day's events and rehearsing tomorrow's challenges. This scattered attention isn't just inefficient, it's literally draining your life force. It's like trying to power a house by running electricity through a dozen different broken circuits. Real freedom isn't the ability to do whatever you want whenever you want it. That's actually a form of slavery to impulse and desire. Real freedom is having such a strong connection to your deeper nature that external circumstances can't knock you off balance. It's being able to wait when waiting is appropriate, act when action is needed, and rest when rest is called for, all without the mind creating drama about any of it. This is why discipline and structure aren't limitations on your freedom, they're the foundation of genuine freedom. When you no longer need to negotiate with every impulse and random thought, when you're not constantly at the mercy of your changing moods and desires, then you're truly free. Free to respond rather than react. Free to choose your actions based on wisdom rather than impulse. The mind will tell you that this sounds boring, that spontaneity and constant stimulation are what make life exciting. But this is exactly the trap. The mind equates intensity with aliveness, chaos with creativity, constant doing with productivity. In reality, the most profound experiences of aliveness happen in moments of deep presence. The most creative insights arise from stillness. The most productive actions come from a place of clarity rather than frantic activity. Think about the times in your life when you felt most deeply satisfied, most genuinely happy. Were these moments when your mind was racing with plans and worries? Or were they moments when you were completely absorbed in the present experience, a meaningful conversation, a beautiful sunset, a moment of accomplishment where you forgot about everything else? The pathway back to this natural state isn't complicated, but it does require consistency. It's about gradually training yourself to bring your full attention to whatever you're doing, instead of always being partially somewhere else. When you're having a conversation, be fully present for that person instead of planning what you'll say next. When you're eating, actually taste your food instead of scrolling through your phone. When you're walking, feel your feet connecting with the ground instead of being lost in mental commentary. This might sound simple, but notice how challenging it actually is. Notice how addicted you've become to mental stimulation, to always processing information, to constantly doing something. This addiction to mental activity is what's stealing your peace and blocking access to your deeper wisdom. The ancient traditions understood that the mind is an incredible tool, but a terrible master. When your identity becomes completely wrapped up in your thoughts and mental activities, you're like someone who thinks they are their smartphone instead of the person using the smartphone. The phone is useful, but you don't want to be enslaved by every notification and app. Your thoughts, your emotions, your mental commentary about life, these are all just tools, just temporary experiences arising in your awareness. You are not these temporary experiences. You are the unchanging awareness in which all experiences appear. And from this deeper place, life becomes much simpler. Not easier necessarily, but simpler. Because you're no longer fighting against reality or trying to control every variable. You're working with life instead of against it. This is when life truly starts working. Not when you finally achieve all your goals or solve all your problems, but when you stop requiring life to be different than it is in order for you to be at peace. This doesn't mean becoming passive or accepting mediocrity. It means acting from wholeness instead of from a sense of lack. Creating from inspiration instead of desperation. Living from presence instead of constantly escaping into mental projections about the past or future. The transformation happens gradually, then suddenly. You might not notice it day by day, but over time you realize that the things that used to completely overwhelm you now feel manageable. Situations that used to trigger hours of mental commentary now pass through your awareness without creating internal chaos. You still engage fully with life, but from a place of centered calm rather than frantic urgency.
This is the real secret the masters discovered.
You already have everything you need for deep fulfillment. You already are everything you've been seeking to become. The journey isn't about adding more to yourself, it's about removing what's covering up your natural state of presence, peace, and profound aliveness. Stop searching for what you already have. Stop trying to become what you already are. Just be here now, and watch as life begins to work in ways you never imagined possible.